Have you ever witnessed a wedding so spectacular that it seemed less like a celebration of love and more like the end of a television program? Because it wasn't a wedding that took place in Atlanta. It was complete mayhem. Tiny wasn't only an uninvited guest to Shekinah's private nuptials. In front of the visitors' cameras and a startled PI who appeared to have witnessed his own reputation fall in real time, she barged in. Rumor has it that this ceremony wasn't your typical one. Shekinah was going to have her big moment. She proclaimed herself Mrs. Harris on that day. However, when Tiny appeared, her veil was torn off, for her eyes were blazing, and she yelled, "You stole my husband!" Everything broke down. According to the guests, Shekinah made an effort to remain composed until Tiny snatched her lace front and ripped it off completely. Multiple cameras captured that moment, which went on to become Atlanta's most viral wedding ever. So how did this happen? What led to the altercation at the altar between two former best friends? There was a whisper in the beginning. Online, there were rumors that Shekinah was organizing a discreet wedding outside of Atlanta. However, nothing in that city is kept a secret, particularly when Tiny and T.I. are involved. Tiny was done as soon as she learned about it. No more phone calls or texts. She made the decision to appear in person. The ceremony had just started when she entered. "Dearly beloved," was all the preacher had to say before Tiny showed up. According to witnesses, the whole room froze. Shekinah's smile faded in an instant, and T.I. appeared surprised. Tiny yelled, "You stole my husband!" as she marched down the aisle. "Let's check the durability of that wig." Then mayhem. Phones emerged, the guests let out a yell. Shekinah was left clutching her pride and her vows when Tiny grabbed the wig. The films from 3 distinct camera perspectives were released online in a matter of hours. Fans realized then that this was no ordinary guest video. It appeared overly polished. Everything felt planned, including the focus and lighting. After doing some research, vloggers found out that there were NDAs for the employees, as well as a setup for a potential live feed. It seems that someone intended for the video to be leaked. The internet went viral by the following morning. Trending hashtags were hashtag #TinyVSShekinah and hashtag #WeddingWigWar. While Shekinah's followers referred to it as retaliation, Tiny supporters claimed that her actions were motivated by pure emotion. Shekinah went live in tears and said she didn't know Tiny would show up there. Fans weren't convinced, however, after a leaked group message revealed her bridesmaid saying, "Have your phones ready in case Tiny shows up." That line changed everything. People now believe Tiny had not interrupted the wedding, she entered a setup. Then things became even more bizarre. Fans noticed that the initials TH, which stands for Tamika Harris, Tiny's full name, were displayed on the gold band on Shekinah's hand in a close-up of the released video. According to some, Shekinah intentionally put on Tiny's former wedding band as a perverse symbol of her replacement. Imagine yourself as a Tiny, going to a wedding where your former best friend is wearing your ring and reciting your husband's vows. That isn't love. Psychological warfare is what that is. This is when things got really messy, though. According to tech specialists who looked into the footage, the clips were uploaded using a device that was registered to T.I.'s own business. This indicates that the video was initially released by a member of his own team. Theories began to take off. Perhaps the purpose of T.I.'s actions was to control the narrative before Shekinah could spin it. Perhaps it was for a reality project he had been working on. In any case, the consequences were severe. Deals were pulled by sponsors. It was dubbed the lowest point in ADL celebrity history by blogs. Fans further charged that everyone was using heartbreak as a means of making money. Then came the most shocking revelation. Shekinah's marriage was not documented in any official documents. No documentation, no certificate, nothing. This implies that the wedding as a whole wasn't genuine. The event was staged, a show masquerading as affection. According to some insiders, the fictitious wedding was meant to represent Shekinah's moving on after she partnered with a production team to create a documentary about overcoming toxic friendships. However, the internet was unable to turn away when Tiny crashed the set, turning that fictitious healing moment into a genuine emotional explosion. Ultimately, the reality remains unclear. Tiny might have been ambushed. Perhaps Shekinah desired retribution.
Perhaps T.I. had his own plans. This was definitely not a wedding, though. It was a battle for public power. And additionally, Tiny didn't just break vows when she entered that property. An era came to an end with her, because there was no friendship, no forgiveness, and no going back after that night. It was dubbed the Wedding Wig War on the internet. However, there was more to it than that. A tale of toxic celebrity, treachery, and control. In the best words of an Atlanta fan, Tiny didn't come for influence, she sought solace. After the commotion at the wedding, Shekinah continued to stir things up. A few days later, she mouthed the words, "You played the bad guy, but don't blame me," while wearing a blonde wig and lip-syncing to Nicki Minaj's Roman's Retaliation on TikTok. "No sympathy when you started the story," was the caption she posted. It was immediately seen by fans as a barb against Tanny. In a single day, the video received almost 500,000 likes on the internet. However, it also sparked criticism. Shekinah was ridiculed by Tiny's followers in the comment section with statements such as, "Girl, she made you sit down and you lost the fight and the wig." But no one was laughing anymore. The truth was what they sought. Then, shortly after the mayhem, drone footage appeared that showed T.I. exiting the wedding villa, whispering to a cameraman while holding 2 phones. Viewers began playing the video again frame by frame. "That's the shot we needed," others believed him to have stated. Others heard the words, "Turn the feed off." In any case, it gave the impression that I was in charge of the story rather than a startled husband. Lawyers soon became involved. Several legal teams sent letters to the villa owner. Tiny requested that the video be taken off. Shekinah made a video rights demand. Then T.I.'s camp fell silent. More rumors only stoked that silence. Fans and blogs started to wonder if this whole thing was a setup. Then the last twist appeared. On a private Discord server, a video clip titled "Scene 3 After the Snatch" was leaked. Tiny can be seen shouting, "You played me on camera," and T.I. whispering to the cameraman, "Keep rolling." That cue disrupted the internet. All of a sudden, it seemed contrived. People realized that this was more than just a clumsy argument. It had the appearance of a production. Tiny might not have been attending a wedding. Perhaps she was following a script. And if that's the case, the age-old question is, who wrote it rather than who initiated it?